All right, I think we will get started. On behalf of the Surge team and the California Public Utilities Commission, we would like to welcome you to the Solar Utilities Reporting Guidance and Education, or Surge Compliance Portal Workshop. We appreciate all of you being here today. Before we get started, we just want to jump into a few disclaimers. This is a reminder that this presentation will only go over a summary of the AB 2143 and PUC 769.2 requirements. The focus of the workshop today is to cover the Surge Compliance Portal and those different forms that you need to fill out. So contractor registration, project registration, and the certified payroll submission. Again, we want to emphasize that this workshop will not cover how to determine prevailing wages or how to prepare certified payroll records. If you would like more information on these topics, we do encourage you to visit the DIR website. We have a link here. We also have a lot of great resource links on our website. So please go ahead and visit those if you're looking for more information on that. Additionally, we do have our May 29th webinar that is posted to the website, so you can go ahead and visit the slides or the actual recording if you're looking for more information. And that webinar included speakers from the DIR, so we do suggest that as well. Just some workshop ground rules. This is a reminder that the webinar is being recorded and it will be available for review after. So we typically will send this out to attendees via email, and it's also posted to our website. Another reminder that microphones will be muted throughout the presentation. We encourage you to use the Q&A feature for submitting your questions. If you do wish to speak with your microphone, once we get to your question at the end of the presentation, we can unmute you, but we do ask that you utilize the Q&A feature, and that's just at the top of your screen. And then final reminder, please be respectful of other participants and the presenters. We are here to share information. We're here to learn and work together. So please just keep that in mind as we go through the presentation. Our presenters today, we have Sylvia Lynn. She is the project manager of Surge. And alongside her, we have Ariana Fernandez. She is the senior prevailing wage consultant and trainer. Both are extremely knowledgeable in this world, so you're in great hands. And then if you have any questions after the webinar, please feel free to contact us. You can email us at info@cpucsurge.org, or feel free to give us a call at 1-800-549-2143. I am now going to hand it over to Sylvia, I believe, and she will get started on the presentation.
Great. Thank you, Christina. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to start out by talking a little bit about AB 2143 and the related Public Utilities Code section 769.2. Probably many of you are familiar with these provisions already, but we just want to go through and kind of clarify some points, just do a little reminder in terms of what is required under the regulations. So the whole purpose behind the regulations, much like is the case for the entire public works area, is to ensure that construction workers and apprentices that work specifically on the customer-sided renewable electric generation projects are paid prevailing wage. So as is the case with a lot of different projects in public works and construction, historically that was not always the case. So this ensures that the workers, given whatever their craft, the classification is, are paid the proper amount of money for their work, for their level of experience, and for the type of work they perform. So the regulation that brings solar projects into the fold of Public Works was effective January 1st, 2024. And so the qualifications for these projects, in other words, what is going to place a project under the umbrella of AB 2143 is any the facility qualification. So the actual project site would be an energy generation facility, and this is important, any associated battery storage that seeks to use the contracts or the tariffs under the relevant Public Utilities Code, meaning that they're subject to the net energy metering tariff that is associated with that. And that's an important distinction there. We can talk a little bit about that if you have any questions. And it's the Public Utilities Code section 2827.1 and 2827, the tariffs that include any net energy metering and net billing tariffs. So these are just the related regulations that lay out what the ground rules are and the terms for these tariffs. So these are the projects that are going to be subject to AB 2143. I know that we've received several questions already from contractors and from project owners, from the property owners. If I forego the tariff, am I still going to be subject to AB 2143? And the answer in that case is no. It's only the projects that are going to take advantage of the benefit are going to actually have that tariff in place. So that's an important distinction. Next slide, please. Now, as with any regulation, there are certain exceptions that apply. So the following projects, if you have any projects that have these characteristics, this is going to take it out from under AB 2143. So any residential facility with a maximum generating capacity of 15 kilowatts or less, and this is key here, or that is installed on a single family home. So a single family home is not subject to this requirement. These are more what we call commercial projects. So they're going to have, the higher generation capacities. They're going to be small businesses, maybe mid-sized businesses, but again, not single family homes. Second exception, projects that are already classified as public works under existing law. There too, we received a number of questions so far. For example, I have a Davis-Bacon project subject to federal requirements. Is that exempt from 2143? Yes, it is. If it's already a public works project, that means the project is getting public funds. So these laws have been in place for many, many years now. If you receive state and or federal funding on a construction project, you're already subject to state and or federal requirements. So there's no need to duplicate those under AB 2143. So you're not going to have to abide by AB 2143 because you're already doing the equivalent with respect to public works compliance. The third exception, any facility serving only a modular home, modular community, or a multi-housing unit, in other words, maybe apartment building with 2 or fewer stories. So keep that in mind as you take on projects and think about, is it subject to any of these exemptions? Next slide, please. So to summarize the requirements under AB 2143 and Public Utilities Code 769.2, and again, as with any legislation, there's a lot of verbiage there. If you look at the body of the regulation itself, this summarizes for you. This breaks it down. Essentially, the requirements are to pay prevailing wage to all the construction workers and apprentices. So that means pursuant to the Department of Industrial Relations and the labor codes, you need to pay for the type of work they're performing. So this is critical. You always have to look at what is the worker doing? What are the tasks they are performing? It could be, a couple different classifications. And as was discussed during our introduction, all that can be found on the DIR's website in terms of those detailed description of the type of work and the associated rates of pay. The other requirement, equally as important, to maintain and verify certified payroll records through the Department of Industrial Relations. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a moment here. So, requirement is to, under Public Works, to submit payroll information both to the DIR and to upload those into the Surge portal. And with respect to submitting to us, Surge, those are going to be digital copies. In other words, convert it to a PDF file, your reports, and those are going to be due into the Surge portal twice a year. So that's going to be by July 1st. We're coming up rapidly on that deadline, as well as December 31st of each year. Just quickly to distinguish the point above where you submit to the Department of Industrial Relations, that is a monthly payroll submittal. The DIR requires that you enter the payroll information through their eCPR site on a monthly basis. Surge under the AB 2143 requires biannually. However, you are free, in fact, we encourage it, to submit on a monthly basis, maybe even on the same schedule that you would submit to the DIR, if that makes it easier for you. The regulatory requirement is biannually, but you can submit at whatever frequency you wish, as long as it's at least biannually on those dates. And next slide, please. So the impact of non-compliance. So as with any regulation, there is some type of penalty, some type of impact if a contractor does not provide the certified payroll. So if a contractor does not submit copies of the certified payroll to the Surge portal, it may result in a loss of service to the net metering or net billing tariffs of the impacted energy project. So in other words, the property owner may not receive that benefit from the tariff if the proper protocols under the regulation and the proper requirements were not followed. In other words, submission of certified payroll reports on that biannual schedule to the Surge portal. And the next slide, please. So this provides a summary of the responsibilities of the different participants in this process. So we have three major participants. We have the investor-owned utilities, so it's the utility companies. That's SCE, SDGE, and PG&E. So you're really going to start the process there. So by starting the process, what we're referring to is you would reach out to whatever utility is over the territory where the project is being constructed and complete that interconnection application. You're going to be assigned a unique identifier as part of that process, and you're going to need that when you actually go into the Surge system. But that's the first step in the process, is to reach out to the respective utility company and file that interconnection application. And that's also included in that process is either the contractor and or the project owner are going to review that AB 2143 checklist. So the checklist is pretty much going to summarize what we're talking about here today in terms of what are the requirements under AB 2143 and PUC 769.2 with respect to prevailing wage and submission of certified payroll, and then any related public works requirements. So once that's in place, once you have connected with the respective utility, the next step in the process is to meet the requirements under the Department of Industrial Relations. So there, every contractor needs to register with the DIR. It's pretty much a one-page electronic form that you complete with your relevant contractor information. And so and then that also will provide you with a unique identifying number that you'll need to retain, because you'll need to know that when you go in and register as a contractor in the Surge system. In addition to contractor registration, the DIR requires the project itself to be registered. So that's what puts it on, that's what actually gets it into the DIR system, so that when you upload your certified payroll to the DIR, when you enter your payroll information, you have a project to connect that to. So you need some kind of unique identifier there. So in this case, it is the project owner, the customer that registers the project with the DIR. So they kind of step into the shoes of what's called an awarding body that you would normally see in a public works project. So again, contractor registers with the DIR, as well as the owner registers the project with the DIR. Contractor makes sure to pay the prevailing wage to the qualified workers and apprentices. You'll be entering that information again to the DIR's website on a monthly basis to show what your workers, what they're being classified as, and what the corresponding wage is, prevailing wage that you're paying to them. And again, submitting that certified payroll information to the DIR on a monthly basis. So moving on to Surge. So again, you'll reach out to the utility company, the DIR, because the DIR is going to generate that unique number for the contractor that you're going to need once you go into Surge. So that's the CPUC system. That's what we're talking about here today with respect to the way you're going to process your payrolls. So within Surge, there too, you're going to register as a contractor. So again, you have two levels of contractor registration, one with the DIR, one with Surge. And again, it's pretty much similar to the DIR. It is a one-page electronic form that you will complete that will generate a unique identifying number, a contractor identification number. So you will also need to register the project on Surge. Now, important to remember here, only a prime contractor needs to register the project in Surge. All contractors have to register, but project registration, if you are going to be a prime contractor and have subcontractors performing certain portions of the work, you're obviously the prime if you have subs under you. So you're going to register the project in Surge. All contractors are going to be responsible for submitting their own copies of certified payroll to Surge. So again, registration at the contractor level, prime contractor and subcontractor. Project registration for Surge, prime contractor only. And then certified payroll submissions, both prime and subcontractors will be responsible for uploading those payrolls. And the next slide, please. And just going through the requirements again of the relevant code provisions. So contractors are required to report, again, records to both the DIR and to Surge. And this is quite common in the public works arena. If you're doing work, for example, with a specific public works agency, a city, and you're in a publicly funded project, oftentimes information needs to be submitted at maybe the local level as well as DIR. No different here. So under existing law, under the labor code provision, you need to submit that certified payroll and project registration, contractor registration to the DIR, as well as to what we call the Surge portal under the regulation AB 2143. So that's important to remember. That's the responsibility is for both the DIR submittal as well as the CPUC Surge. And next slide, please. So per the labor code provision, again, submittal to the DIR is monthly. So as soon as you have that project underway, that following month, so if you start, for example, let's say you start a project in mid-August sometime, you'll need to start submitting to the DIR in September for the previous work that's been performed. So that's key. Then going in per AB 2143, that's where we go into the biannual submission, but you may submit on a more frequent basis. So that is going to be due into the Surge compliance portal by Monday, in this case, for this year, Monday, July the 1st by 5 p.m. And again, this is important to keep in mind because if you currently have an eligible project for which you need to submit payroll reports, please submit those by July 1st at 5 through the Surge portal. And we have an entire support team here available to you to assist you with that process. So never hesitate to reach out to us with any contractor, project, payroll submission questions that you have for the Surge portal. Where that's exactly what we're here for, is to assist you with that and to answer any questions. We want to make this as simple as possible. And as Christina mentioned earlier, we're here to help you. We're all working towards the same goals and objectives here. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our Senior Labor Compliance Analyst, Ariana Fernandez.
Thanks, Sylvia. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to take you through these next few slides. So I'm going to talk a little bit about SURGE. So it stands for the Solar Utilities Reporting, Guidance, and Education. This initiative was born of these new regulations per AB 2143 and PUC 769.2. So we are here to, number one, help the California Public Utilities Commission create a website and resource for contractors to submit their payrolls and to store these payrolls for the next 5 years for the regulation. We're also here to help the contractors navigate through and help guide you through these regulations. So we have a lot of resources listed on our website. We have links to helpful DIR pages, links to the text of AB 2143 and PUC 769.2. We also have an email address that many of you have already been submitting your questions through, so thank you. And we have a phone number, so we're available to help answer any of your questions that may arise. We also created the Surge Compliance Portal, which is where you're going to submit the digital copies of your certified payroll records. And next slide, please. So the compliance portal that was created, there's 3 items that need to be completed through this portal. 1 is the contractor registration, 2, project registration, and then the certified payroll submission. And next slide, please. So I'm going to go over just a high-level overview of the contractor registration. We did create some tutorials that will be available on our website after this. Thank you, Brittany. So the first step is to create a submittable account. It's free for all contractors, and you'll need this in order to complete your contractor registration on the portal. So both primes and subs are required to register as a contractor through Surge. And so once you go on the website, you'll fill out and complete the contractor registration form. All of this information listed in yellow here on the right is the information that will be needed in order for you to complete that form. Notably, you'll need your Contractor State License Board, the CSLB number, and the DIR Public Works Contractor Registration Number. So once you complete the contractor registration form, the Surge team will review it, make sure everything is all good. And then once it's approved, you'll receive your contractor identification number, or the SIN number. And you'll need to keep that number so you can submit your certified payrolls and register projects. And next slide, please. So next up is the project registration. So this step is only for primes. So prime contractors are required to register the project in Surge. Subcontractors do not need to do this. So similar to the contractor registration, you'll go to our Surge website and you'll select the project registration form. There is a questionnaire to ensure that the projects are actually eligible. So it will ask you, a few questions like, is this project already a public work or something like that? And then once you determine that you do have an eligible project, you'll go in and complete the project registration form. Again, using this information that's highlighted here in yellow on the right-hand side of the screen. So you will need your contractor identification number, You'll also need the interconnection application ID number. And then you'll need the rest of this information here. And then once your project is approved, you'll receive the project identification number or the PIN number. So prime contractors will need to share this PIN with their subs. And similarly, if you are a subcontractor and you don't have the PIN number yet, you'll need to reach out to your prime. And next slide, please. Okay, so the last item here is the certified payroll submission. So once you have registered as a contractor and the project has been registered in Surge, you'll be ready to submit your certified payroll. So once again, you'll go to the Surge compliance portal and you'll select certified payroll submission this time. So in the Surge portal, we just require a PDF to be uploaded to us. It should be the A1-131 Public Works Reporting Form, or something that shows all of the same information like the worker's name, address, social, their work classification, and things like that. So you'll just drop that PDF into our portal along with the statement of compliance. And as the regulation states, this needs to be done biannually, July 1st and December 31st of each year. But it is recommended and encouraged that you can do this monthly or however frequently is good for you. And next slide, please. Thank you. And then with that, I'm going to pass it back to Christina.
Great, thanks so much. Thank you, Ariana and Sylvia, for going over that information. Before we jump into the Q&A section, we just want to make sure you have our contact information, just so you know it in case you have any questions. You can visit the Surge website at www.cpucsurge.org. Again, if you need to contact us, feel free to email us at info@cpucsurge.org or give us a call at 1-800-549-2143. And to stay up to date on, new events, just different information, feel free to follow us on LinkedIn as well. We are at Surge Outreach on LinkedIn. So now we will head into the Q&A section of the presentation. Again, we do ask that if you do have a question, you're utilizing the Q&A feature. And then just another reminder, we are not touching on prevailing wage determination or how to complete certified payroll. So if your questions kind of teeter towards those subjects, we will provide a response in the Q&A section, but we will not be covering that. That is out of the scope of today's presentation. So again, please feel free, if you have questions, go ahead and drop them into the Q&A feature up at the top of your screen. And I will go ahead and get started with some of the questions that we've gotten throughout the presentation. So the first one I see, it asks to confirm, do we need to submit payroll records to Surge for a project that began in 2021 if our employees are occasionally working on it in 2024?
Christine, I'd be glad to take that question. It is going to depend on when the interconnectivity was approved. So if you have an interconnectivity application that was approved by the utility prior to January 1st, 2024, it is not going to be subject to AB 2143. However, there are certain maintenance upgrades that are going to put the project under the umbrella of AB 2143 compliance. So it's best to work through the details with the respective utility as you go through this process. But again, the pursuant to the language of the regulation, applicability of AB 2143 turns on that interconnectivity application assignment and approval, and whether that was prior to January 1st, 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. Let's see. Another question we have from Brian, who's asking, does a sub who hires another sub need to register with Surge?
I'm going to take that one as well. And the answer is yes. Regardless of how much of a lower tier sub it is, yes, every subcontractor performing prevailing wage work on the project will need to register both with the DIR as well as with Surge.
Great, thanks so much. And then let's see, next question from Chelsea, who is asking, are DIR numbers good for life? If we have not used it in a while, do we need to do anything?
I can go ahead and take that one. So the DIR, the Public Works Contractor Registration numbers, they can be renewed 1 to 3 years in advance. So they do expire. It just depends on how or when you renewed your DIR registration. So on the DIR's website, you can go in and plug in your Public Works Contractor Registration number or your CSLB, and your registration history will pop up, and it should show you if it's current or expired. So these PWCR numbers do need to be current while you're bidding on any public works projects and throughout the life of the project.
Awesome, thank you. Let me see here. Another question we have from Brian, and that is, what do we do when the prime contractor does not register the project? And I'm assuming this is maybe asked from a subcontractor perspective. Maybe you're the sub and your prime is not registering the project through Surge.
You will need that project registration number. All we can really advise you and encourage you to do is to work with the prime contractor to emphasize that is a requirement. You will need it to upload your payroll. Please send us any type of correspondence or inquiry through our Surge website, and we would be glad to work with the prime contractor. Oftentimes it's simply a matter of knowing how to navigate the system, knowing what the resources are to get assistance. So if that is something that you're having trouble obtaining from a prime contractor, please contact us and let us know, and we would be glad to work with the prime as well.
Let's see, and one from Deborah, she's asking, do we need to upload the DIR confirmation to Surge?
I can go ahead and take that one. That's a really good question, Deborah. Thank you. We do not need the ECPR confirmations from the DIR uploaded to Surge. The DIR does have a search tool that allows us and others who have the project ID to view the submissions to the DIR. So through Surge, we just need a copy of your A1-131 payroll reporting form and the statement of compliance.
Thank you, Ariana. Another question, what if the prime doesn't register with the DIR?
If you're referring to contractor registration, that really does not have, they would not be able to register if the prime contractor does not register themselves as a contractor with Surge. They would never be able to even register in the DIR. They would not be able to move forward and register as a contractor in Surge. And then likewise, they wouldn't be able to register their project. If the project owner does not register the project in Surge, the contractors on the project will not be able to upload their payroll information to the DIR. So again, it has to do with if you're referring to contractor registration versus project registration with the DIR.
Great, thank you. And if we do get to your question and you do want to provide a little bit more information, feel free to raise your hand and then we can unmute your microphone just in case. We'll go to, let's see, Jenny's question. She's asking, we are a sub working with the owner on retrofit projects. Is the owner considered the prime in this situation?
When you're saying you're working with the owner, is the owner, we'd have to know if the owner was self-performing any of the installation work. In this case, not likely. It could, if you're doing all of the construction type of work on the solar project, you would actually, you would be the prime. There would be no prime subcontractor relationship there. I'm assuming based on the way you are phrasing the question here it sounds like the project owner is also performing some of the installation functions on it. They would not be a prime contractor. They would be characterized for the purposes of the DIR and for the purposes of the surge program. They would be the project owner, and you would be the contractor. So you really would you would still have the same responsibilities in Surge. You would still be registering yourself as a contractor with both the DIR and Surge, and you would still be submitting your payroll reports. So there really wouldn't be any difference in terms of what your responsibilities are under AB 2143.
Thank you, Sylvia. Let's see, a question from Caitlin. For the CPRs, is it mandatory for Surge, not DIR, to include the employee's Social Security number, SSN?
I can go ahead and take that one. Another great question. So in Surge, we do still have to comply with the labor code. So in Labor Code Section 1776, the requirement of the employee's Social Security number is required. We can accept the last four of their social, but yes, the certified payroll should include that information.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ariana. I'm not seeing any new questions being published at the moment. Let's see. Oh, it looks like someone has a follow-up on the question that they asked. So just give me one moment. Okay. So this is in response to a question that was asked earlier, and they are saying, so the issue is the issue I'm having is the prime is registering the job with Surge, but not with the DIR.
I can go ahead and answer that one. So with the DIR, the project owner, or the also known as the awarding body. So the project owner would register the project with the DIR. In Surge, the prime will register the project. I know that can be a little bit confusing, but again, with the DIR, it's going to be the project owner.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much. I'm just waiting on my team to let me know if we have any new questions being published.
Yeah. Christina, I think Juliet has a follow-up. I can see her hand up.
Oh yeah, sure.
I think I might be able to allow her microphone. Let's see.
Okay, yeah, if you can, that would be awesome.
I tried to, but Julia, are you able to unmute yourself to ask your question?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, so the issue I'm having is I can't locate that particular job in the DIR. Nothing under the name, the address, nothing comes up. So if the job doesn't exist in DIR, but it's registered from the prime under Surge, how do I report it to DIR?
So it's possible that your project has not been registered with the DIR yet, and that's why we're unable to locate it. And unfortunately, you can't submit your payrolls yet to the DIR until you have that DIR project registration. So once the owner registers the project, they'll get that unique identifier number, the DIR project ID. And then with that, you'll be able to submit your certified payrolls to the DIR.
Okay, so I'm a little confused then, because don't you need a DIR registration number to kind of fill out the DAS 140 and 142 for the apprenticeship? So without that, how do you know when to trigger the DAS for the apprenticeship?
That would be more of a question for the DIR. I'm not sure if the DIR project ID is required for those apprenticeship forms. The name of the project is, but that would be more of a question that we can direct to the DIR and get their response on that if you would like.
Okay, yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
Awesome. Okay, let me just see if there's any new questions. Okay, we have a question from Mary Rodriguez. She is asking about where and how does the building owner register the project, and is looking for perhaps a link to be provided with additional information.
I'd be glad to take that one. The project owner is going to register it through a form called the PWC 100 on the DIR website. And I believe we have that link available on the Surge portal, on the Surge website. So that resource is there, as well as the DIR publishes a set of instructions as well on how to walk through the process. But the form that the project owner would be looking for is called a PWC-100 form.
Great, thank you, Sylvia. And we will work to get that link over to you as well, so you can get some additional information. I do just want to provide some attention to Michael Sanchez. I see your question about a project that you submitted to the Surge portal. We will look into this after the presentation and get back to you as soon as possible, and we will work with you to get that squared away and accepted so you can move forward. Thank you for your patience on that. And I am just waiting to see if we have any new questions, so bear with me, please. And again, a reminder, I see some of you are asking some questions outside of the scope of the presentation. We will try to provide some information to you after the presentation, but we are kind of sticking to questions regarding the Surge Compliance Portal, contractor registration, project registration, and uploading that certified payroll. So if you do not hear your question being asked, that is the reason. Let's see. Michael is asking, sorry. So this legislation, AB 2143, is only related to the pay aspect of public works, prevailing wage rates, and not the labor aspect of traditional public works jobs, apprenticeship, and minimum ratio requirements. Is that correct?
Actually, Michael, all of the public works requirements will apply. In fact, I do believe we have that DIR related information on our website as well. We can send it over, but any requirements, including as what's been cited here, apprenticeship requirements, because these are all under the labor code associated with public works projects. So yes, that is going to be applicable here, because AB 2143 specifically states that if you have an eligible project, it is subject to the public works requirements. So the apprentice requirements do come into play.
Thank you, Sylvia. I'm not seeing any new questions pop up yet. We will give just a couple minutes to see if anyone is maybe typing those out right now. Again, this is a great time to get anything kind of squared away that you've been struggling with, especially when it comes to the registrations with the Surge Compliance Portal and everything that's required. So if you do have any questions, please ask them in the Q&A feature if you can. We're also available, like we mentioned, via email or phone if anything kind of comes to mind after we get off. So I'll just allow a couple minutes to see if we have any more questions, and if not, then we will head off early. I do see some questions coming up, so just give us one moment while we review these. I see a question from Natasha, who is asking, just to confirm, a project could qualify for AB 2143 and not be what would traditionally be considered public works.
Natasha, it will qualify under AB 21. An eligible project will qualify under AB 2143 as a public works, even if it is not publicly funded. So what we think of in the traditional sense of publicly funded project of public works project is the project itself is receiving maybe grant money from the state government or the federal government. That is a public works project. However, under AB 2143, if you have a project that is going to be subject to the NEM tariff and does not fall within any of the exceptions, that too will be considered public works, even without the public funds.
Thank you, Sylvia, for that clarification. I do see another question. For the purpose of uploading certified payroll, is a company considered the prime contractor if they are going back and performing maintenance work in a project they did not build?
It is possible if you have a contract, a newly established contract, to go back and do maintenance work, and you are going to the IOU reporting this or any type of, if you're performing that function, yes, you would be considered the prime contractor unless it was the same group of contractors that originally worked on the construction project. But if you are the prime company going back and performing the maintenance work, you would then be the prime for that scope of work. I hope that answers your question.
Great, thank you, Sylvia. Again, we are looking to see if any additional questions come through. I do see one from Michael asking, where will the apprenticeship and minimum ratio requirements be documented?
I can go ahead and try to answer this one. Any questions regarding like apprenticeship and things like this are going to be more for the DIR, but I'll try my best to answer. So in traditional public works projects, the minimum ratios are tracked by the hours worked on the project. So there's a DIR requirement that for every 5 hours of work performed by a journeyman, there should be 1 hour of work performed by an apprentice in that same craft. So that's how the minimum ratios are tracked. There's also different forms that you have to submit on typical public works projects. So I'm going to, after this webinar, we will send out some information. The DIR does host their own tutorials and trainings every year for free. And the next one is coming up on Tuesday, July 9th. So they will go into depth with they'll go into depth regarding any questions about apprenticeship and minimum ratios and DAS forms and things like that. So we'll go ahead and send out that information because those questions really should be directed towards the DIR.
Thank you, Ariana, for clarifying that. I do see some questions just asking for additional resources, and we will do our best to provide those to you. We typically will publish a Q&A document after the webinars with all of your questions and responses to those. But we also have, the Surge website is a great place to get some of your questions answered. We have a pretty in-depth Q&A section, as well as the education tab. If you visit that there and you scroll down that page, you will see some general resources linked. And we've kind of divided that by, CPUC, DIR, Surge, and, there's a lot of great information there, a lot of guidance there. Oh, thank you, Brittany, for pulling this up. So, like I mentioned, this is the education tab. If you scroll down, you'll see these general resources here. There are quite a number of links, especially when it comes to the DIR. We've had our team members take the time to kind of pull these for you guys. So we do really encourage you to take a look at this section, and it, may provide the guidance that you need. So that's all here. Just want to kind of point that out to you before we hop off.
And one thing, sorry,
okay.
Christina, one thing that I just wanted to add here, right here, pause, Brittany, under this Public Works link, the first link right here is this Public Works manual. So this is published by the Labor Commissioner. It's available online. You can just type in your Google search bar Public Works manual and it should pop up. It was just updated October 2023, so it's very current. It gives like a very extensive overview and in-depth look into many of the apprenticeship requirements and just public works in general. So this is a resource that our team uses pretty much on a daily basis. So I would recommend for you guys to go through and, look at some of these sections and read through this manual. It's very helpful.
Great. Thank you so much for touching on that. I do not see any new questions coming through the Q&A feature. So I believe we will, call our presentation about 5 minutes early. Thank you so much for attending. Hopefully some of your questions were answered. If you have additional questions or need additional guidance, please feel free to email us at info@cpucsurge.org. Visit our website or give us a call at 1-800-549-2143. Again, thank you so much, and we look forward to chatting with you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day.